Okay. Hi everyone. It seems I'm live. So I'd like to share the screen. Okay, so let me start. Today we are talking about Lean Six Sigma as a prior automation tool. My name is Pribicevic. I'm from Simplify, and I want to talk about using the Lean Six Sigma as a concept and using Lean Six Sigma prior automation and why this is important and why we consider this as very important topic in automation process. Just short about me. I'm PhD in strategic management and process management. Basically, I have been working as a quality engineer and auditor for almost 10 years, and starting from 2017, working in RPA basically. So now for over 4 years, having experience in that, and I founded my own company in 2018. Now we are basically a boutique consulting firm that is dealing with RPA automation, but in the side of business analyst and preparing companies for RPA governance, and for having the RPA as a concept as a whole. How we are performing, I think this may be important. Not only the RPA, we are doing the business consulting and trying to integrate automation in management systems, ISO standards, and very important topics in compliance. And we are basically delivering educations, trainings, and mentoring in RPA process. We basically trying to do this through consulting services, mentorship, outsourcing, and nearshoring. Nearshoring is something that we are delivering currently in few countries. I think it is important to know that over the past 4 years, we have more than 30 RPA projects in different companies, in different industries. So we were like from shared service center to banking, insurance. We were in industries trying to do RPA in stuff like finance, marketing, HR, and also we try to use RPA to connect the industry core processes and the production with the softwares they are using to basically manage the industry itself. So we're not doing just the RPA, we try to use different tools and some custom-made softwares integrated with RPA to try to help the companies in simplifying their process. So our main goal is to simplify the process. Our main goal is to simplify the business and to try to help the companies organize in a better way and to help them to optimize and simplify the business itself. So why we are talking about Lean Six Sigma? I'm a Six Sigma black belt. In our company, there are 3 green belts, and we are basically from this industry. And we have been working in Lean and Six Sigma for over a decade so far. And we consider the RPA as a next step in optimizing the processes itself. Because like from the starting of the work, everybody were trying to optimize and to simplify the business itself. We are all searching for cheaper and easier way to do the business. And we have been working like 50 or more years in Lean and Six Sigma, and the company's Lean as a concept was introduced basically in 2000 and something in service industry and so on. It is basically very connected to agile way of work, and we are trying to have agile, Six Sigma, Lean in one chunk and leading into automation. In Lean and Six Sigma, there was always this myth about zero waste theory, about doing work without any waste, about doing the work without any kind of time wasters or defects or anything you do that doesn't create value or money. So basically, before automation, I believe this was just a concept and this was just a theory. Struggling for this, some companies have gone so far, but without automation, this is basically impossible. But with automation, and especially in service industry with RPA, we think this could be achieved. Of course, there is a lot of way to do, but this is something where we see automation where automation can help us, especially RPA automation. Before any kind of RPA or before any kind of automation, in every company we deliver the services, we did first the business overview of the whole business and try to see where RPA can be implemented. Of course, there is a lot of different approaches, there is different methodologies, but we want to basically, when the client approach us, they already have something in mind, like finances, or some processes in HR, or some processes in administration, compliance with regulatory governments, and etc. But we consider this as a wrong approach because we first like to see the overview of the whole business and to see why the business exists for the first thing, and how the business is creating value. Because sometimes we saw that people want to automate something that is boring them, or it takes so much time to do some kind of job or some kind of reports. But in the end, when we see the business overview, those reports and those activities are useless, and sometimes you don't need to do them in the first place. So first thing we always do is trying to understand why the business is there in the first place, what is going on, and how we can help them to simplify and to do the automation itself. So we created our own methodology. Here is just a glimpse of it. In the first part of automation process, we are assessing the process, we are assessing the business, we are looking in the business overview, and throughout that phase, we are seeing how the process itself, the department, or the whole company is ready for automation. What is the maturity level of the process? We are using EFQM as a maturity level model. And out of this, we are basically going into the RPA or some kind of different automation process, or we are going backwards and try to standardize and optimize the process. We had a lot of stories and a lot of things that we didn't saw the processes by itself. The guys from the companies thought that their processes were perfect, and they run through automation, and then we end up nowhere. So we are getting back to this cycle of understanding the process, standardize it, and optimize it before automation. Of course, documentation is a very important step. I saw some discussion here, should we do the PDD or not? We believe that understanding and having everything documented is very important for the process itself, and also at the end for change requests, debugging, and doing what the virtual worker or the robot itself is performing and why. We had a long story addressing the topics like how to governance the process, who is the chief of the robot, what is going on when you have virtual workers and regular workers, and how to combine those two things in so basically, we delivered this our methodology, and we want to present it. Like, if anyone is interested, we are more than happy to present our methodology and how is it working in different environments, in different industries. Because in every industry, in every company, is a specific story, and every specific story needs to address in a specific way and in customized way. So, what we have built throughout these 3 years, we have been using concept of value stream mapping in Lean Six Sigma, especially in Lean, where you are drawing the process map, capturing all the activities in the process. Basically, we have been using BPMN 2.0 standard for this. And when you are just mapping the values in customer value added, business value added, and waste, we will talk about this in shortly. And we translated this to automation potential map. So we have a different story now. We are looking at all the process steps, click-by-click process steps, and understanding, can we automate this step or not? And we have automation potential map where we have the same colors, the green color, the blue color, and the red color. And the green color is something that, based on the analysis, can be automated. The blue one is something that needs some kind of adjustments, and the red one is something that at the current technology, current moment, cannot be automated. And we are also preparing then the companies for AI, for machine learning, or we are considering why in the first place they are doing these kind of activities. Usually, those are some kind of custom-made activities for clients or for different types of process variation. And basically, if we go into automation, these kinds of steps, we always end up with basically nothing, just the waste of the time and energy of the developers and everybody on the board. So why lean? Why using lean before automation? And should we automate the processes as we see it, as it states? So usually, when you are talking with the client has the process, and the client is showing you the process and wants to do the process the same way, and just to do this without their engagement, and to try to use the robot as assistant for this kind of work, or to change and to become the virtual worker. Basically, as I saw in the previous slide, we are doing the value-added activity and trying to understand in the process itself where the value is created, how the value is created, and should we automate the process as a stage, or deliver the to-be solution design, or in the end just stop doing this thing. Because especially when you come to automation, the reporting to some kind of directors, owners, or something, there is a lot of activities that are performed that are wasting the time, and basically at the end nobody is catching them and don't understand why the report is there in the first place. So we consider this as very important. First step is to understand where the value is. So basically, in lean theory, we have value add and non-value add activities. For value added, we are trying to understand what is the customer value added, what is the business value added, and what is the non-value added activities, as you probably know. And we are considering value in delivering money or making money to the customer. Why the value in dollars, in euros, etc.? Because that is the only currency and only thing that everybody understands in the whole part of the world. So if you're talking about money, we are understandable, and we can recognize what the value of the job of that activity is. Of course, we need to have the clear process structure in the company in order to begin this kind of activities. So here are some examples of customer value added activities, business value added activities, and non-value added activities. Those are basically activities considering the lean and considering the industry. So basically, as I would go back into history and say, all those activities that we are now performing in RPA were currently the business value added activities, especially in industries itself. In service industry, of course, customer value activities comes at the end, and those are basically the activities that you perform directly with the customers, and they're very hard to automate. And those are activities you don't automate in the first place. In the first place, you're automating the business value activities. Those are activities that nobody is paying for, but they are needed because of some regulation, because of some values of the company, or because of somebody is asking for them internally or externally, but not at the end are something that customer would pay for. And we saw that basically a lot of non-value added activities, because they're in the first place, customers want to automate because they just don't know what to do with them. And that is why we consider this as a very important prior automation tool. Why? Because in every business, throughout the industries we saw, and we've been there, we've done that, so we know that this is a very true story, that mainly 90% of all activities are waste activities, and only 10% of activities in companies are generating the value that customer is willing to pay for. So knowing that in mind, we see that the first place you do, and the first thing you do, is do the overview of the business and try to understand where those wastes are and what to do with them firstly, and not to invest money in automation before you understand, is this process something important, and why we are doing this in the first place. Here in my country, we had a lot of government regulated activities that needs to be done in a certain way, and those basically used to have papers and OCRing and etc. And now, because the governments are heading digitally, I believe that in 3 or 5 years, we can automate this process as a whole, as end-to-end, because as soon as all invoices are digitally, as soon as you can have the taxes digitally and all the things related to the government, this RPA is going to boost and going to present the real value in all of these companies. Of course, if you are trying to see the process and you just switch it down, we have this still we have this 10% of customer value activities, but we have a few steps of business value activities, the times that you are performing something for the company that is valuable for the company itself, and that is where automation and RPA comes in place. I would like just to understand what types of waste exist in the company, in the process, and just to try to switch them to automation and to RPA as itself. So basically, we have in the theory we have 7 waste, process waste, and 2 wastes that are basically HR waste. Those are skills and ego. And I will talk about these 7 wastes that are process waste. So first waste is transport. Okay, we understand we are transporting something somewhere, but in our environment, transport means transporting all all the data. So when you transport data from one place to another, this is basically waste. And you all have this story in the company. So you're just attach one file, send email to another, then he sent to another person, then you're sending the data all the way around. Or if you have some kind of SharePoint, but all those transporting of data is something that we consider in lean as a waste. Inventory here, okay, in industry we can see the inventory, but in the service industry we cannot see the inventory. Inventory is basically the queue, the tasks that we should do, or the things we should need to perform in one day, and that are waiting for us to do the task. When we implement the automation, when we implement the RPA, we basically can eliminate this inventory waste up to 0, because you can switch like 5 or 6 robots to do in the same time things, so you don't have the queue, you don't have the tasks that are waiting. Motion in industry, okay, this is the motion of the people. In the service industry, the motion, what we consider the motion, is every motion on the screen. So you go there, you click there, you click there. So we are eliminating this waste in RPA fully, because these types of motion through the screen and screen scraping is something that RPA can do, as you know, in really good way, and that is why the RPA exists at the same time. Waiting is something that this waste is very, very noble, so everybody have the waiting time, but here the RPA can help. We can be faster, but sometimes we need to wait for the customer, we need to wait for some kind of delivery or something. So this is the waste that basically, if you're talking about human workers, it exists, but if you're talking about RPA, it basically can also be eliminated, because the robot can perform another stuff while waiting for the information about the current task or the queue itself. Overproduction and overprocessing are some. Overproduction, for example, is the thing that in service industry can happen also, and that is also a thing that in RPA, if you're not doing the lean before RPA, you can overproduct the things that nobody needs, or you can deliver faster outputs that nobody needs at the same time at that time. So so this is something that really needs to be considered and as a stage of the process and in 2B stage of the process, for you to understand what will happen when the robot perform the tasks itself. Overprocessing is something that when you are overprocessing some kind of task, in service industry, in RPA, we are basically totally eliminating this phase. So this is exactly why automation is there in the first place. So we need to consider this at the end of the process itself and implementing the lean. Defects are the most expensive waste. That's something when you do something that was not under the specification. Hopefully, we are going to get in the stage where the robots are delivering the right things in right time, right place. Why this can be also happen in RPA if you don't do the development good, if the inputs are not good, the robot robot cannot make the defect, but the robot can make something that was not there in the first place. And when scaling the robot, this can be a very, very important defect to consider, especially when you don't have a good governance of the robots, of the all robots you have in the company. So if something goes wrong, that will in the scale, that is something that is not easy to fix. Basically, if you see something performed by people, you can ask the people to stop doing this in a robot fashion way. It's not going to be so easy. So one example is this automation waste example. This process is one of our processes that we did. As you can see here, most of the things are green, but you have some blue parts of the in the click-by-click process diagram. Those blue parts were not so easy to automate. So you can see that wherever you go in this process, there is some little thing that is not going to be so easy to automate. That is why we need to understand process in really details, and we need to understand where the blue parts are and what to do with them, and how important for us is to automate all the variation and all the things that are going in that process. We have experience in this, and trying to explain the company what is going on in the process and why do they need so many variations, and what will happen if we automate all the variation. Of course, if you have a lot of variation in the process itself of RPA is going to be more expensive, and ROE and the return on investment in here is going to be slower, or you will not have the return on investment. One other example is this one. So you see here that first part of the process in these two variations are very clear and very easy to do, and then you have the decision making, and something is need to be performed by using some kind of things that it needs to involve human activities. Here when we have this kind of automation map, we are suggesting customers to use the chatbot or to use the communication tool between employees and the robot, so the employee can jump in, solve this, and move on. Similar thing is for this third option, where you have the first thing is the red one, so it's impossible to automate with the current technology. So we suggest to leave this behind if you're like new in RPA, if you have RPA for 1 or 2 years, but if you're very mature, if you're very experienced, we consider this as using AI or machine learning, or also involving employee in this kind of variation until the robot can take it over and do and perform the job. So as we see, and as we've been in more than 300 companies in the region here, we know that current maturity level of the processes and current maturity level of all companies for RPA is somewhere in the middle. So basically, using just the RPA without RPA human connection will not have the strong benefits. So we need to consider how to integrate the human with the robots and to have them all together on the same task by trying to do the first thing we need, and that is the creating value. If we are creating value, then the company is going to exist and employees are going to stay in the companies. If the company is not creating the value, then all this process is a waste, basically. Why Six Sigma? Six Sigma is people consider this as a hard methodology, as a statistical mathematical methodology, as this is. But I wanted to just one short thing about the Six Sigma is that before automation of any kind of process, we should know what the Six Sigma score is. The Six Sigma score tell us what is the stability of the process and how many defects are performed in the process in the service industry or in the industry itself, the traditional industry. So basically, if you are just sending invoices, if you send 100 invoices, if you have mistakes on 1 or 2, then you can calculate what is the Six Sigma score. And before automation, this is for me the most important part, to calculate the Six Sigma score, because you will know what you will improve in this process if the Six Sigma score is going up, or if you automate the process as is stage, you will have the same defect level and that is something you don't want in the company. So why this concept is important? You all, before RPA, if you didn't have the chance to look at the company's process, or now you know that every process has variation because everything in nature has variation. There is no single same thing in the world. If you're looking into bottles of something, or the two glasses, or to anything, there is no single same things. Things are different. You just need to look closer, and you will see that there is no the same process. There is no same company. There is no nothing that is same in the nature. So we are going against the nature, trying to do all things same, trying to standardize. This is not something that nature wants, and there's always going to be variation and changing of stuff, because the world is always changing, and the process we automate are going to change in some way. So that is why we need a Six Sigma to understand the process. This is just one simple example. When you have the Gauss curve, and I believe if you didn't know this now in the COVID area, you saw this like 1,000 times. But here we have the upper and lower specification limit of some kind of process. We can have just upper specification limit, and sometimes when you're looking at the process, how is it performed through time. So if the process in the middle of lower and upper specification limit, the process is performing right. If the process is going left or right, you have the defects, and the Six Sigma process means that you have 3.4 defects per million opportunities. And considering this, we can calculate the score of every process we have in a company. So basically, how do we do this? We analyze the curve, we analyze the process itself, we have the data, and then using you can have the capability analysis, or you can have the effects per million opportunities analysis, and you can understand what is the defect level and what is the Six Sigma score of the process itself. So for every process, we are really trying to understand what is the Six Sigma score. 3 Sigma is something that is normal score for most of the companies in the world, basically. And this is something that is considering automation not good, because you would have a lot of defects in the process and a lot of variation that at the end you cannot automate, and at the end you cannot achieve the results itself. Because if you are going to automate the types of variation that are delivering the good value, then value based, or if you are looking in Lean Six Sigma, the things that are getting to the customer that he consider as a value are going to stay the same, because all those defects are going to stay the same, because you're not going to automate them. Or maybe the people who are doing the process can switch to fixing those kinds of defect, and you will automate the things that are easy. So that is why you have one approach, different approach, but it's very important to understand what is the Six Sigma score. For example, if you say this process is 99% of confidence, or 99% is delivering the right value, you will have like 50 minutes of unsafe drinking water, so somebody can die, or you will have 7 hours without electricity per month. Or so 99 sounds good, but for automation we need 100% clear process in order to have everything smoothly and clearly. We are of course using a table. This is a table for normal distribution or for Gauss curve. So you know, for example, if your Six Sigma score is I don't know 2.95, you will have 73,000 defects on million opportunities, and this is not so good. If you're from customer side, you will not like this. So we want to boost the process until the Six Sigma, or basically try to achieve the Six Sigma score using RPA and using automation. So also, if you're talking about the customer and you present the Six Sigma scores and what will happen after automation, I think there will be a good buy-in for continuing this process. Okay. Do I have the questions? No. Sorry, just reading the questions. I'll go back on this. Just like I have like 5 minutes or 6 minutes more. So what will happen if we automate the process and we still have a waste? So basically, we are going to deliver more waste in pretty fast way because robot is doing that very good. And if you automate something that is basically not generating value, you will have the more waste in your company. So I don't consider this as a good approach. So maybe we are running too fast in RPA, not understanding before what the company performs in the first place and who is paying for this. Okay, so if somebody is paying for this and is willing to pay for this, okay, let's try to help them to use RPA to be more efficient. But if we don't understand why in the first place they are delivering some kind of report, some kind of task, I don't believe we should move on just straight to RPA and straight to automation. Basically, we had one, for example, we have one RPA project where we did 3 processes. They're very good. ROE was not so good because we are always delivering the calculations about return on investment, how much money company needs to invest, what are the savings that are going to be generated when you automate the process, and that is how we are going into every project. So for every process we have this, and for the business overview. And sometimes you don't have the good financial result, but the companies want to try. If the companies want to try something, that's okay. But if you are ready to automate, if you are looking the whole picture, you really need to understand what is going to happen considering values in this company. So my answer, and I would like to know your answer, is not. So don't automate the processes that still have waste and that generating waste in process in the first place. So what will happen if we want to automate unstable processes and high variations that have Six Sigma score below 3 or below 2 or below 1? My answer is nothing will happen because it will be almost impossible to automate this kind of process. But if you have great developers, if you have great knowledge, if you try to understand everything and make some solutions, make some good solution design, you will get to some point of automation. But the first question is why this process is so unstable. Maybe because it's not mature, and maybe because it's not in a good way modeled to deliver the value. So for us in Simplify, we need first to understand what is the Six Sigma score, and then to move further just for processes that are 3 point something or 4 point something. Or we are automating this process this variation of the process, that has very stable outcomes. And for other types of processes, we are trying to involve people in making this process better. So for the end, if we don't see the business overview of the company, and if we don't understand why is process there in the first place, what is performed, why it's performed, what is the value of the process, we can end up with automating something that will be outdated in a short run, something that will generate more waste, or we are going to use all our knowledge and energy to do something, and then company at the end, if they look at the balance sheet, if they're looking at their financial results, we'd end up with nothing, and they're always going to blame the new stuff. So if you have the company that is in the place for 10, 20, 50 years or something, and they are good, and when you go to them and say, okay, if you're going to use automation to help you, and in the end, if they have the same results or worse results, and they have the RPA, they will blame you because this is the new stuff that you're trying to mess their normal life, not understanding that the world is changing all the time, and then you need to implement especially the things that can help you in process efficiency and effectiveness. And for us in Simplify, RPA is just another tool, great tool. We are very happy to have the opportunity to use the RPA, but the process optimization comes first for us, and the process optimization is what we are doing in the first place. So if you have the RPA for one process, if you have it all automated, you're basically doing the process automation. From the starting of the world, people would try to make their life easier and to generate the more value. RPA is there for us, but let us first look at the business and understand how we can help the company simplify and automate the business itself. Okay, so we have, as I see, we have two questions. The second one is, do you combine the creation of automation potential maps with any process mining tools? Yes, we tried two process mining tools, and this is for us. This is a new thing, and not for us in Simplify, but for our region. And first, process mining tools are very useful and very good approach in big companies. And in companies that generates a lot of tasks, a lot of processes, and a lot of information, a lot of data, so you can see the data and you can do something. So for example, in shared service centers, we done in 3 or something, when you have 20,000 invoices per day, okay, process mining is a great tool. But in small companies, when you're trying to help them, small, I mean 100, 200 people, and you can do the RPA, process mining before this would be great, but it's too expensive at the moment, and there is no business case for us to use the process mining. I truly believe that in the future, process mining will be essential tool for RPA, and it will help us to understand what can be automated and how to move forward. But at the moment, currently, for our market, this is too expensive, and we are trying to understand how to do this in a better way. Lastly, the process mining itself, without understanding the business and without understanding the value, it's not of big use, because you first need to understand what is generating the value, and then through using process mining, we use Celonis, we use Mineit, you can see what is going on in the process. Sorry, the first question was, this is a top-down approach when you need the log, yes. And let's change how you actually get the Roku on the top level. Okay. No, you're welcome. I will just want to answer the first question. Yes, this is a top-down approach. Basically, if you can speak with CEO and with CFO of the company, this is really the right approach. But at the end, you will end up with them. If you're doing the POC in some small department with some people who are excited in RPA, if you do well, you will end up speaking with CFO or with CEO, and they will ask you the same question. Okay, you did a great job. We have now one small process automated. We saved, I don't know, 1.2, 3.5 FTEs, and what now? And then this is the approach we are suggesting, and practically this lead us to becoming one of the biggest consulting companies in the region. So I do believe that this is the right approach, and I do believe that if you're talking with the C-level of the companies, they can understand this in a much better way than understanding automation itself. Also, delivering their vision in 3 to 5 years, what will happen in the world and how they can jump in using RPA is something that I think is very, very important. Basically, what can happen also, we have one project, just refreshing my memories. When we did a good POC, we automated something, but when we spoke with the CFO, he said, okay, but why we did this in the first place? We can do this with, I don't know, Python or backend automation or with some API. Why we need the RPA in the first place? So basically, I do believe that having all the knowledge as you guys really have, I do believe you have in RPA, we just need to go back one step back and to understand the overview and the values of the company. I prefer Lean Six Sigma because of this mapping the values and mapping the automation potential. Agile is a good approach for execution. And about the process mining, sure, this is going to be the next step, but the first step is to understand when the process mining software gives you all the details, the bottlenecks and everything, to understand why you have the process in the first place. Thank you so much for the question. Okay, we still have 5 minutes left. I don't know, is there any new questions or anything that can be interesting for you guys, or okay, if not, I will want to emphasize some things that we also have in our experience. People they just they are afraid of automation, of course, because as we spoke on this conference for a long time, and you all know, is something that they can lose their jobs. Also, there is we have been working with UiPath, Automation Anywhere, with Robotic, with Blue Prism, with all those kinds of vendors, because we are vendor independently. We are doing the business part, the process part, the business analyst part. So that is why the core of our business. So we are not dependent on any kind of software. Also, sometimes we are doing the backend automation. We are trying to use APIs, and we are trying to do some kind of small automation through Python. We also did some kind of macros in Excel. We don't like this, but business is if you're talking to business, so it's Excel sheets everywhere, and Excel is like the main software everywhere. So sometimes it's very cheaper and easier to just do the macro and say, okay, let's move forward, because you're bringing the value to the customer. But I wanted to say in the first place that we really, with this overview of the whole business and with value, you really need to address the people, and they need to have their place in this world. Because if we are going against the employees in the companies, this change management is not going to happen, because it's going to be very hard, as you probably know. And we need to put them and to answer on the question where the value of those employees are going to be in the future, by delivering the lean project, the automation map, by delivering the Six Sigma score, explaining them where they are going to happen, what is their role in the future. I think we will have the more chance to deliver RPA and the value to the customers. Because, for example, we have one process, we automate the communication between customers and the company, and the person who was doing this was, okay, I was doing this for 5 years, what to do now? And they need to learn new stuff. Learning new stuff is a must, but for some people it's not going to be so easy, and we need to have this broad overview project, and to put people and to understand what people are going to do in the future, because we cannot automate everything. The same was like 100 years before, when the machines were in the place. You had the same story. So this is just another revolution. We will see what will happen. Okay, I asked some questions, but I don't see. Is this visible to you? Sorry, this is a new platform for me also. Never used before, but I think this was fine. It was understandable for me. Okay, so at the end, I would like to thank all of you who were in this session. It was really a great pleasure for me to talk about Lean and Six Sigma and how to use this. Also about our experience. If you want to know more, with this free online consulting, we also are very happy to share our experience, especially with the companies that are performing the same or similar service. So this is my mobile phone, my email, and our website. We have also .com. And we are very happy to build a partnership, because we in Simplify really believe in partnerships. I don't believe in. I see that the world is competitive, and the world is going into more competitive fashion. But I do believe that through partnership and through doing together, we can make the world better, and we can make the projects and processes better, because together we know more, and together we can help our clients more. So if anyone is interested in partnerships, please do give me a call. Thank you very much for having me and for being here with me today.